Thornbridge Manor. The Carlyle family's home for countless generations. The Revenant Alexa Carlyle and her 3 adult children, younger brother Zachary, grandson and daughter-in-law, are all gathered to conduct Carlyle's sham funeral. Curiously, Carlyle summoned a famous London PI soon after arriving this morning, but his purpose at Thornbridge is yet unclear. Now, the target knows that you're coming, and her guard detail is top-notch. So Mr. Gray will secure their nearby field HQ and intercept all calls going in and out of the estate. Any appeal for backup is going to fall on very deaf ears. Good luck, gentlemen.
Phineas Whitmer, private investigator. I have an appointment with Madame Carlyle. Please wait.
Mr. Whitmer is here to see Madame Carlyle. You can go right in.
That is Phineas Whitmer, the famous private investigator hired by Madame Carlyle this morning. I'm curious why he's here. Maybe you should do some detecting yourself, 47. A famous private investigator summoned by Alexa Carlyle.
Please do.
If you follow me. I know I oughtn't say anything, but I'm so relieved you're here. Everything's just so strange. Preparing for Madame's funeral, and then she turns up alive. But then the awful business with her brother Zachary. And all this security. I've never seen a place guarded like this. And I dare say I don't like it at all. This is what I mean. You have to be patted down before you see Madame Carlyle inside. I could just cry.
Sir, I just need to check.
That's a bit excessive, I think, considering the fact that I spotted no less than 2 routes to get inside the house unseen.
We know what we're doing, sir. Don't worry about that.
Mr. Whitmer, thank you for coming on such short notice. A great tragedy has fallen upon us, and I need a quick resolution, handled with absolute discretion.
Results and discretion are my speciality.
Very well. I suppose you want to start at the crime scene.
In my experience, a thorough examination of a potential crime scene is half the job done.
Good. Fernsby will take over from here.
I am Mr. Fernsby, the butler. Madam Carlyle has asked me to assist you in any way possible. Mr. Whitmer, I understand that you've traveled from London. Would you care for some refreshments? Or do you prefer to go straight to Mr. Zachary's sleeping quarters?
I prefer to get started.
As you wish. If you'll follow me, sir. I feel obliged to point out that current affairs surrounding Madame Carlyle are of a delicate nature. You may be familiar with the recent announcement of her death. You will probably learn that a staged funeral is scheduled to take place tomorrow. Madame's children were not informed until this morning that their mother was in fact not dead at all. So please bear with them if they seem affected by the rather unusual situation. I trust I do not need to remind you that there will be consequences if word gets out that Madame Carlyle is still alive.
I'll consider her dead when I leave.
Before you inspect the crime scene, I will tell you this. The case concerns the death of Mr. Zachary, Madame Carlyle's younger brother. He was found dead in his bed this morning. The door was locked from the inside, and a suicide letter was found in his room. However, Madame Carlyle suspects foul play and will not accept that he took his own life. I've prepared some information for you, so please do come and see me when you've finished your investigation of the crime scene. This is Mr. Zachary's room, to my right.
A locked room murder mystery, 47. I trust you'll get to the bottom of this. Why don't you use your camera to scan the dead body, 47?
Throat markings indicate a rare, short-lived
Spend a few bucks.
time of death at around 10 o'clock last night.
You do know your poisons, 47.
You are invading my personal space, sir.
Zachary shopping for New Wellingtons last night. Not exactly what you would expect from someone suicidal. Zachary's suicide note. Also, a sample of handwriting. It could be relevant to compare to other samples to establish its authenticity.
Elaine, give us some privacy. Don't tell Mother.
A hidden door.
It's a secret
Really tense these
passage.
days, and the last
This
thing I
could
need is
explain how the
hassle.
door was locked from the
I
inside.
took that pretty blonde, Rosie,
Side.
for an evening stroll.
A photocopy of the
How the
floor
fuck am I
plan.
expected to cope with the entire
Somebody's been
weekend?
researching the
Bored
secret
out of
ins
my
and
mind.
outs of Thornbridge
So,
Manor.
is that it?
What did you think?
I believe you've done a thorough search of the crime scene, 47.
No ambition.
Maybe it's
Imagine
time to see the
deciding to
butler.
live in a
I'm
museum.
curious about the information
You know,
he's
Father
prepared
says
for you.
Zachary and Alexei used to be two of a kind. He had a great future ahead of him. Then suddenly, he just gave up everything. What idiots? Thank God Daddy chose looks and brains over pedigree when he married Mummy. I don't have to worry about the inbreeding so customary. So,
Mr.
if that's
Fernsby,
all, I think I'll get
I'm
back
done
to
with the
my
crime
son.
scene.
Bye,
Did you establish a time of death?
Zachary died around 10 o'clock last night.
That means the staff were off duty.
Zachary tops himself.
And Madame Carlyle and her security didn't arrive until this morning. That leaves Madame's family and myself as the only persons here when he died. And before you ask, no, I do not have an alibi. I was alone in my office at the time of death. Here is the material that I prepared for you. It's a list of the possible suspects and their quarters. Hopefully that will help you keep track of your findings. Please come and see me when you've solved
Rebecca
the case,
Carlyle.
and I will take you to
Didn't you
Madame
tell
Carlyle.
yesterday evening?
We don't really see much of each other, my brothers
This
and
is
I.
very useful information
Suppose it
for.
takes our mother's funeral to
So how
put us
does
together,
one
and even
solve a
then,
murder
like
mystery,
fiddling with
47?
laps.
Now,
Motive,
let's see.
means, and opportunity, I believe.
Patrick Carlyle.
May I suggest you
Can you
ask
tell
the
me where
suspects
you
for
were
alibis?
yesterday evening?
Or perhaps do you prefer searching the manor for clues first?
Sneaky butler.
Edward wanted to
He
go as
ratted
well,
me out.
but Gregory convinced
Elaine,
him to stay for a few drinks
give us some
before they went off
privacy,
for a
would you?
pint at the local at 8:45. I swear.
Don't tell
Gregory
Mother,
enjoyed
okay?
Edward's discomfort
She's
over
really
the
tense these
I
days, and the
had
last
your
thing I
office
need
at
is more
9,
hassle.
So I spent
I took
3
that
hours
pretty
on my
blonde,
laptop in my room
Rosie,
and
for an
went
evening
straight to bed
stroll.
afterwards. I don't know
I mean,
about Emma.
how the fuck am I expected to cope for an entire
strange.
weekend in this shithole? I'm bored out of my mind.
You know,
If that's
bet
all, I
she
think
was
I'll get
making
back to my
lists for
slow
changes
death
needing to be
by
done
boredom.
once she gets her hands on Thornbridge Manor. Quite the shock she had when Mother arrived during breakfast. Is that everything, Mr. Whitmer?
Tell me about Zachary. Did he act strange last night?
You know, now you mention it, he was a lot more chatty than usual. He wanted to know about my connections in the
What did you
publishing
think of
business.
Zachary?
Creepy as hell.
Apparently, a friend
No
of his was
ambition.
writing a book,
Imagine deciding
which
to
strikes
live
me as
in a
very
museum.
peculiar. I didn't think he had
You
any
know,
friends.
Father says
Is there
Zachary and
anything else
Alexa
you want
used to be
ask
two of a kind. He
Anything
had a
else
great
you
future
want
ahead of him.
mentioning?
Then suddenly,
I may be
he just
wrong,
gave up everything.
But I saw Mr.
What
Ferns
an idiot.
but,
Thank God Daddy
Leave
chose
Zachary's
looks and
room
brains
early
over
this
pedigree when he
afternoon.
married Mummy.
and he
I don't have
seemed
to
a
worry
bit
about the
startled when he
inbreeding
saw me in the
customary in
hallway.
these circles.
It's
So,
probably
is that it?
Oh, and one more thing. Please be kind to Edward.
Did you see anything
Don't take so
suspicious
much.
last night?
No. I reckon Zachary topped himself. I know I would have. Or perhaps Mr. Fernsby. I don't like him. He could have done it.
Hello, sir. Excuse me, but it really freaks me out when people stand too close to me.
Rebecca Carlyle. Can you tell me about yesterday evening?
We don't really see much of each other, my brothers and I. I suppose it takes our mother's funeral to bring us together, and even then, it's not like we sit on each other's laps. Now, let's see. Patrick, Gregory's son, disappeared straight after dinner.
Quiz night at the inn.
You know,
On the other
I
hand,
think he
staying
might
here
be in
with
some
Zachary,
sort of
my
trouble.
obnoxious
Edward
sister,
wanted to go as well, but
something
Gregory
like
convinced him to stay for a few drinks before they went off for a pint at the local at 8:45. Comfort over staying here. I had a conference call with my New York office at 9, so I spent 3 hours on my laptop in my room and went straight to bed afterwards. I don't know about Emma. She did act a bit strange. You know, I bet she was making lists for changes needing to be done once she gets her hands on Thornbridge Manor. Quite the shock she had when Mother arrived during breakfast. Is that everything, Mr. Whitmer?
Tell me about Zachary. Did he act strange last night?
You know, now you mention it, he was a lot more chatty than usual. He wanted to know about my connections in the publishing business. Apparently, a friend of his is writing a book, which strikes me as very peculiar. I didn't think he had any friends.
Anything else you feel like mentioning?
I may be wrong, but I saw Mr. Fernsby, the butler, leave Zachary's room early this afternoon. And he seemed a bit startled when he saw me in the hallway. It's probably nothing. Oh, and one more thing. Please be kind to Edward. He can only take so much. Is there anything else you want to ask me?
Too much fun enjoying the circus.
Gregory Carlyle. Can you tell me where you were yesterday evening?
Oh, you're wondering about my alibi, Mr. Detective. Well, I left Thornbridge around 8:30. for a pint with Edward. I wish I hadn't. Quiz night at the inn. On the other hand, staying here with Zachary, my obnoxious sister, and the wife sporting another one of her headaches would have been a fate worse than death. The short of it, Zachary was very much alive when we left. I stayed for the last shout, and I was back here just before midnight. Anything else you want to pry from my intricate...
Tell me about Zachary.
Zach? Huh. Such a sad old sod. A bit heavy on the bottle, but who could blame him? Only company he had was his rare plants and mother, who travels more than she stays here. Honestly, I can't say which is the bigger bore. He's better off dead. Is that all?
Anything else you'd like to tell me?
Nothing, really. I'm just enjoying the show. Our perfect mother obviously fucked up, didn't she? Faking her own death. You know, she's explained nothing to us. I think she's scared to own up to her own mistake.
Emma Carlyle, can you tell me where you were yesterday evening?
Surely I'm not a suspect.
I need to account for everyone.
Well, I spent the evening with my family, but I got an awful migraine and had to take to bed. Everyone can attest to that. I believe I went up when the boys sat down for a drink around 8 o'clock. Is that all?
How did you feel about Zachary?
I might as well be honest. His presence was always awkward. But how do you have a meaningful conversation with a man who only cares about plants? In my opinion, Alexa bears some responsibility for how this ended. She supported his self-limiting behavior by letting him live here. Anything else you want to know?
Have you noticed anything else out of the ordinary?
Nothing special comes to mind. Except, perhaps, I did get a feeling that Zachary was depressed, not just sad. I suppose he realized that he had no one with Alexa gone. Even Alexa must feel the pangs of guilt over that one, letting him believe she was dead. Then again, guilt isn't her strong suit.
You always let...
Professor Edward Carlyle, can you tell me your whereabouts for last night?
Oh, yes, this dreadful business with Zachary. I stay at the local inn. You see, I prefer not to spend the night here at Thornbridge Manor. My brother Gregory came along for a nightcap. He'll never admit it, but I think he understands that I find this whole thing upsetting and wanted to provide some comfort. I believe we went to the Stag's Head around 8:30. If that's all, I have a speech to write.
Can you tell me about Zachary's behavior last night?
I certainly didn't expect him to commit suicide. Sure, he was upset by Mother's supposed death. We were. But he seemed more engaged than usual. You should ask Rebecca. They had a long talk. Did you know that he hadn't left Thornbridge Manor in nearly 50 years? His plants, Mother, and the staff, all the company he had. Anything else I can do to help?
Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary?
You mean apart from the fact that we came here to bury our mother and she shows up alive and kicking? Zachary found dead in his bed this morning? Or perhaps that the planned funeral is still taking place and I have to do the eulogy? And Mother will surely have a strong opinion on it afterwards. I can't breathe, excuse me. You always led by example rather than by words and meaningless gestures. Like hugs, encouragement. Just a single spontaneous caress, what a difference that would have made. Right. I clearly remember when I was 5.
But he was such a gentleman. He gave me his coat and all.
Rosie, you need to forget.
Get away from me, you creep.
Did all the groceries arrive?
Rosie, tell me what you did last night.
I'm in trouble, aren't I? I spent the evening with Patrick. We met after dinner and I went home at 1 in the morning. He said he needed someone real to talk to. When he looks at you, it makes you feel like the center of the universe. Like a real princess.
I think you are coming on a little too strong. Mister.
So 41 guests will attend the funeral.
Did you notice anything out of the ordinary? Any strangers outside the house?
No, we saw no one outside. Except Patrick's mother, Emma. We were sitting on the bench behind the greenhouse talking when she came out and we had to hide. You won't tell her about me and Patrick, will you? She'd insist Madame Carlyle fire me. I'm sure of it.
Rosie, you need to forget about... Patrick. No good's gonna come of it. Stick to your own kind.
You mean like Chris?
But now he just ignores.
That is the door to Mr. Fernsby's office. Zachary's diary. This is big. He was about to confess to the world that he and Alexa murdered their older brother Montgomery 46 years ago. And apparently, Mr. Fernsby helped make the murder look like an accident. And 47, the handwriting doesn't match the suicide letter in his room, proving he didn't write it himself. Mr. Fernsby clearly didn't commit the murder, but I think you have enough evidence to convince Madame Carlyle he did. Maybe... You should tell him you are ready to present. And your findings. Unless, of course, you want to do some more detecting, 47?
Bad news, I'm afraid. We don't have any extra fuses. Ethel looked everywhere.
I don't believe for a second.
This is a table showing lethal dosages for the poison
Broken
used
lab
to kill
equipment.
Zachary.
It looks like it was recently used, though. Something is circled 47. Female, age 65 to 79, 60 to 64 kilograms. I'd say Madame Carlyle is next line for a poisoning. This is Rebecca's room. I can see from the log that Rebecca was in a conference call from 9 p.m. to midnight last night.
Aaron Ford Jr. calling from Morgan, Yates & Cohn. I need to get a listing of asset transfers from the Carlisle...
This all confirms that Arthur Edwards stole everything from Madame Carlyle. Perhaps you should let her know how bad it is, 47.
Can't you just relax for a minute?
I'm at the solicitor upstairs, and they will have all kinds of interesting stories.
It would be pretty nice.
Maybe
to
we
probably,
should get back to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
How tall are you? You could be a model, you know.
Right.
I have a friend who's...
Did you give the Fitzpatrick token to Madame Carlyle's daughter?
Rebecca? Yes. She's insistent, that one. She kept asking all kinds of questions. Who had the other one? Why I gave it to her, that sort of thing. You did make sure she didn't see you give the other one to the butler?
Oh, of course.
I am ready to present my conclusion to Madame Carlyle.
Very well. If you'll follow me, sir.
Good to see you.
Looking good today, sir.
This is Madame Carlyle's office. Please step inside.
Your detective skills have gained you access to the Lion's Den, 47. Now, go claim your reward.
So, Mr. Whitmer, you've reached a conclusion. Take a seat. Please, go ahead.
The butler, Mr. Fernsby, killed Zachary.
Fernsby? Oh, you've got that wrong. He would never do such a thing. He is the most loyal man I have ever met.
I found pills in his office that matches the poison that killed your brother. Furthermore, I found Zachary's notebook, half burned, in Mr. Fernsby's fireplace. It showed that Zachary intended to publish a written confession to a murder the two of you committed nearly 50 years ago. The murder of your older brother, Montgomery.
That's outrageous. We did no such thing.
No need to feign innocence. I know a killer when I see one, and my discretion is assured. The papers also described how Mr. Fernsby helped you stage the murder of Montgomery as an accident. I believe he killed Zachary not to be exposed as an accomplice to murder.
Sweet Fernsby. You are wrong, Mr. Whitmer. He did not do it to protect himself. He did it to protect the Carlyle legacy. Mr. Fernsby, like myself, understands that sacrifices must be made to secure stability and prosperity. Mr. Whitmer, I'd appreciate it if your findings never leave this room. I understand Fernsby's actions, and there is no need for them to have more consequences than they already have. Fernsby was very fond of Zachary, and I'm sure his decision will haunt him to the day he dies. About your reward, have you considered an amount?
I want the file you have on Arthur Edwards.
Arthur Edwards, the Constant. That must mean you're... I expected you'd show up. But you're not here to kill me. If you were, you would have already. The enemy of my enemy, I suppose. You can have it. You earned it. Where are you going? Thank you. Now, where were we? The file you want is in the safe. Good hunting. I need some privacy. Thank you.
Good work, 47. That's the file on Arthur Edwards secured. Time to take care of Madame Carlyle. Mission complete. Well done, 47.
I can't forget his eyes. They were so swollen, it didn't even look like Zachary. I've never seen this dead body before.
He must have been awful. Do you think it was a suicide?
I don't know. A detective to come here.
The murder. Hey, don't move. I'm getting someone to deal with you. I'm getting help. You just wait right there.
Hey, you there?
Green leader to JHQ. Whoever caused the commotion is gone. Standing down. Out.
heard Mary fainted when she heard Madame Carlyle was still alive. And she didn't even see it herself. It was Fernsby who told her.
I can believe that. What a surprise it was.
47. They're everywhere. Go, get out! It's the Constantine. Shit!